We think we're building strength. We think we're building endurance. We think we're doing what we're supposed to do. But what we don't realize, we're also making withdrawals from a body that's keeping track of everything. And one day, it stops asking and starts telling you.
Fieldhouse, I started that project.
Okay.
SRU, my last final thing. We got I'm not going to mention the company because they don't agree with me right then.
There's 4 titles, 1 truth. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Lance. Today, we're talking about the body keeps score, what the military takes and what it leaves behind.
Yes, and today we're joined by First Sergeant retired David Rosen. Welcome, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being on the show for us.
I appreciate you guys having me. It is one of those privileges of being able to come here and share experiences and learn just as much why I'm sharing.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get into it.
Okay, Dave. For most of the world that's meeting you for the first time, where are you from in the world, and did you have plans to join the military growing up?
I did not. So we'll answer that one first. The military was not something I had planned. So I was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Okay. Sooner?
My family separated. My mom moved me to New Jersey where her family was. And so that's where I claim, that's where I was raised from 5 to when I left for the military.
What made you decide to join the Army, and why did you choose the MOS you served in? Did you know what the MOS actually did when you signed up?
So, no. Yes, I did. I knew what they did. The reason I joined the military, I was homeless.
Okay.
And I had been out on my own for a while. So, just to kind of back up for a quick second, I was a really bad kid. You know, by the time I was 14, I had been arrested 20-something times.
20?
I had been expelled from school. I was not in a good spot. It ended up being in Jersey. Mm-hmm. You ever seen that silly show, Jersey Shore? Gym, tan, beach. You know? I mean, it's just how gym, tan work out. It's what made us. I was always small, and where I grew up was survival of the fittest.
Okay.
And so I realized very early on that I was crazier than people and willing to do what crazy needed to be done, but I needed the power behind the little guy. And then it turned around and ended up being I wanted ladies. You know, so, and it, goes into the intrinsic value where I was at my life at that point. Mm-hmm. So definitely wasn't looking for it. I was homeless. I'd been arrested a bunch of times. It had come to the point where I either knew I was going to end up dead or in jail. Oh. And I came out of the gym, and the whole time growing up, there was always an Army recruiter station directly across. So I walked out one day, and I was just like, what do I got to lose? Mm-hmm. So I walked in and started first class McKinney and explained my story. And because I had so much bad stuff, it took me a few years to get in and see a lot of people. I had to get legal stuff explained, waivers, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, that is actually why I decided to join the MOS. I qualified for. I had a good GT score, even though I went drunk to take MEPS. I qualified high enough in order to become a combat medic, and I was like, saving people. I think I could probably work out too, 'cause getting people in shape makes them better.
Right.
And so that's why I chose that.
Awesome.
Okay. So this is our last question before we get into our topic. How did you prepare for retirement? And looking back, do you think you prepared yourself enough?
First off, I wasn't prepared to retire.
Okay.
I was medically retired, so I should have never been allowed in the Army. I was missing a valve in my heart. So when you have that, you're not supposed to do any physical exertion, not supposed to do any of the stuff that made me as a person growing up, and made me successful inside the Army. And they said, you got to go. I was medical. Like I said, I was a whiskey. I said, okay. I had just come back from Italy, winning NCO of the year, and was doing boards again already here. I said, you guys do the paperwork. I'm going to go back and keep doing my thing. I just knew E6. And they dropped the ball. And I continued my career. And then at my 19 years, they found it again. She says, you know, you have a heart problem? And I said, yep. I said, I just wanted to, continue. I don't feel it. I'm doing great. I maxed my PT test. Right. She was like, well, according to your numbers, you should be dead. So I'm like,
shoot.
oh, all right, well. So I was at the SRU as a first sergeant at the time and had seen soldiers not be able to make it after they put 17 years in, and it broke my heart. So I basically pleaded with the lady. I was like, look, put me on a P2 profile. Won't initiate the med board, and then second we hit 19.5, do it. That's the magic number.
Right.
You get to 19.5,
right.
That is
finish
your magic
out.
number.
Yeah.
So I did, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do that.
Really good.
Was I prepared? No, because I didn't think I was going anywhere yet.
Right.
Financially, sure, because I learned a long time ago, financial health is just as important as mental health,
Yes,
because it causes into that. So, and growing up with nothing, what I have now to give my kids is night and day.
Right.
And that was my whole purpose for life, staying alive, doing it is for the kids.
Yep.
They have it better than you do. With teaching them discipline and that, you're not going to be spoiled and just get stuff.
Right.
But, so financially, yes, I would have liked to do more of my schooling while I was still in. I don't have my degree. That's one of my biggest regrets. I made sure my soldiers did it. I've had probably 15 troops go from enlisted to officer. And I told them it just makes sense. Do the math. It just makes sense. Like, I love being an NCO, but at the end of the day, you can hang up the uniform and you guys can have the same exact stuff and your retirement check's a whole lot better. And that's bottom line. So, education, I would have definitely focused on more. And I think maybe I fell under the false illusion that a lot of people do. I'm a first sergeant. I have all this stuff inside the Army. Been very successful. Coach, teach, and mentoring. I'm going to be able to get a job, no issues.
Easy peasy.
And so it isn't that easy. I was fortunate enough because my wife had always given up her career for us, and I said, I'm going to do Mr. Mom. You focus on your career. She had just got her master's. She's a librarian, a teen librarian at the Landa, right here in San Antonio. So I want to be able to support her, be Mr. Mom. And it ain't easy. Boy, I give the spouses all kinds of credit now. But that took adjusting.
Okay.
And so...
So let me ask you, was she ready for your retirement?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
She was done. She told me straight up, I love the Army.
Yeah.
We were at Fort Belvoir, and we bought our dream home. We were everything was going to be good. I was going to retire out there. Life was good. Got the must-go orders to Korea. So that was cool, because you can return, right? You just put it down, and everything is good, and you're returning. 4 months before I got back, they said, you got to go to San Antonio, priority 1. And what that did was break my promise to my wife, break my daughter's heart, and then have to put her through
moving a new school and all that. Yeah.
And then we won't even get into the
mental.
Not the mental. When you have a child that needs special needs.
EFMP.
I've been trying to get my paperwork cleared for that for 4 or 5 years and wasn't able to do it. And so they weren't going to let me come back until that was done. And I'm like, you guys sent me here so you know it's cleared. Like, or you wouldn't have sent me.
Wow.
But we ended up having to deal with all that. So very traumatic for the family.
Okay.
And so that... a lot of the retirement planning we had went up in smoke.
Yeah. Y'all got smacked in the face with
no joke.
A bunch of
bunch
and then the best part, so you get here, and they don't know what to do with you. Right? Your priority one, you had to come here because they had a need, and then they're like, well, you just came from a first sergeant slot, and that's when they stuck me in the only opening they had.
So if you had to pick one thing through that debacle, right, what's one thing you wish somebody would have told you going through that could have helped you see true north better, could have helped you better prepare yourself mentally, your family for retirement?
But we were at the point still in the military, and Sergeant Major, you know this better than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Promotion didn't matter. I was winning NCO of the year after NCO of the year, and my troops looked good, and I got told from E6 to E7, you'll never make it, you don't have any college. And I was like, okay, but you guys keep giving me all this extra stuff to do, and it's no excuse. There's plenty of people that have all the extra stuff to do college. Got it. For me, it didn't work out. I put the energy into getting gyms built, turning around, doing all this other stuff, and so I kept getting promoted. And so I was like, yeah, you said that, but I'm still getting promoted, and I'm planning on getting out until 30 when they make me. So I wish that, I think leaders can be selfish sometimes, and they see what someone can do for them, and rather than truly mentor them, they say, hey, keep doing what you're doing, because it's putting a trophy on my shelf. It's giving me an OER bullet and an NCOR bullet. And so that's the one thing that I wish would have been a little different.
We all come from different paths, but fitness and wellness has shaped us each in good ways, and in ways we didn't fully understand at the time.
All right, Dave. At what point, Lance, did fitness stop being about performance and start being about survival?
It's probably when I got into my mid-30s. And that was because I started having injuries and stuff. Right? Because I had tore a pec, I tore a calf muscle. So then it's like, okay, I can't just jump on the thing. When they say, okay, you got a PT test next week. Okay, I guess I'll start running now. No, okay, I guess I'll do some push-ups, do some more push-ups. Because it's just like when I was younger coming in, I came in from having a background of, being a wrestler, and so I was in pretty good shape, and the push-ups, sit-ups, running too much, that wasn't that was like, oh, that's the test, that's the work, okay, all right, yeah, until, life starts hitting you in the face with kids and daily, working your you're not working just 40-hour weeks. You're working more than 40-hour weeks and trying to plug in working out and stuff because your body says, you're getting a little, we're going to slow down a little bit. You don't need to do that. You're not using that muscle. And it's going to be there, but it's not going to be as strong as you thought it was before. So probably around probably about the mid-30s where it was like, okay, I got to start. And it wasn't so much as survival as had to start really prioritizing. Okay, I gotta go work. I gotta go work. If I had to because what we would do is just get up at 4:30, and then like me and Audrey be running in the neighborhood. That's the only time she ever worked out with me was when we were in the military and having to go run in the morning because it was
both had to do it.
Yep, yeah. And it was like we didn't want to run into deer alone. Running through wherever, because it seemed like wherever we were stationed, it was always damn deer in the neighborhood. So, and you run up on them and both of you stop and you look at each other like, okay, you go, you go, or you going to let me go? What's going to happen? But yeah, I guess whenever I had to start actually, really planning and making it a priority in my schedule, my daily schedule was when it started being like, okay, here we go, and then coming to the end where it went from being able from running to walking the 2.5 miles. And it was like, I said, I should have just kept on running when I had to start doing that because that 2.5 miles is like, that it's like another, you have to train, you have to really train yourself to do that and go through the different, because you're so, running, you're so used to a different form of motion. And it was like, you try to start walking. At first, when I first started doing that, my shins, I was toe up. I was like, why am I doing this? But it all worked out in the end. So, yeah.
See, this one's really, really tricky for me
Mm-hmm.
because I was personal trainer before I came in.
Okay.
And when I got into the military, so I was older. I was 23. Like I said, I was.
Okay.
By the time I got in, it was.
That's about what I
older
was when I
compared
came in.
to the
Me,
others. So going
yeah.
through basic training, I was already fit. I saw the purpose, and so it was easier for me to incorporate.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got to the first unit, same thing happened.
Okay.
You know, and it's like basic. You know, I was that guy saying, "Don't smoke the rock." I could out push up the drill sergeants, like so. Others maybe got mad at me, and I used it as a tool sometimes. I was like, "You guys want to interrupt my sleep? I'll make sure you guys can't move tomorrow." And I'd work with the drill sergeant, you know, just enough smack talking to get it done. Got to the first unit, they said yes. PT is valuable. I said, well, what you're doing is garbage, so can I run it? And from my first unit all the way to my last, I always ran special emphasis PT, special pops.
Special op, yeah,
And then
special
as
pops.
I got more rank, I was able to do more for them, you know, as far as Fort Irwin, I had that gym built.
Oh, really? Okay.
Becker Connex training system for the SRU before I left. And so it was always kind of part of it. And then as I developed, dealing with performance triad, I didn't volunteer for that team. I got picked by General Tahan. And the reason she picked me is because of my passion in it.
Okay.
But I can't necessarily say I was doing the right thing with fitness before that. I was supporting GNC just like everyone else, drinking my monsters and churros and, you know, being drunk at 4 a.m. and rolling right to PT. It wasn't always a healthy way, but I always believed that a healthier team perform better under stress. And then as they made me a resiliency trainer, I started being able to see how I can incorporate these resiliency tools inside my PT program.
Okay.
Check 2 boxes for my commander, and the soldiers got why they were doing it, rather than it just turning around and being something that
you got to get up and work
you got to
out.
get up and do it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it leads to the person retiring and getting fat because it's their one time they can finally stand up, but they're only shooting themselves in the foot. When did it become about survival? I had open heart surgery 2 years ago. I realized how proactive. So I was out there with Army North at Alpha Warrior the night before my surgery, doing a 5K run obstacle course with them. When I said, if I die, you know, name a gym after me and let's call it good. I went out with my troops happy. Next day I went in, I had the open heart surgery. 4 days later, I did a 5K in the hospital, walking with the nurses. They kicked me out directly from the ICU. From that, in retrospect, a little sad that they kicked me out so soon. I probably wasn't 100% ready to go home. But in any case, it became more and more relevant as I'm getting older. You know, right now they're doing all kind of prostate checks on me. So I just had those labs done. I'm waiting to do ultrasounds. The more proactive I can be going into whatever life's going to throw at me, if it's health or whatever, then that's going to turn around and only help me during that recovery.
Yep.
Because I hear it all the time, and as a trainer for years and running the postpartum pregnancy and then all the rehabilitative stuff, every time I had a soldier, I wouldn't separate them. I wasn't that NCO that said, all right, all people that are injured fall out to the back and figure out life, you know. That's how you break morale and mentally, and then you beat them up in the mental aspect. Okay. So I always figured out a way to be able to make everyone inclusive, you know, and then figure out if it means putting music on and letting people come in civilian clothes, that they'll buy into PT, and I call it whatever I want, and then after about 6 weeks, I tell them, you know, you guys actually did the regulatory workout, and then they bought in. And then that's how I got a gym built, because I woke General Farrell's wife up in 4:30 in the morning with my boombox out of my trunk. And I said, well, you don't have a good place to train, sir. And he said, well, that's why don't you come talk to me about that, and let's see what we can do.
I understand your path, and I understand your commitment to fitness. When did you know you had an issue with your heart?
2011.
So that's the first time you found out you had an issue with your heart?
Yeah, they missed it. My whole life.
Wow.
2000.
And the reason I asked that is by 2011, did you adjust yourself accordingly, according to the medical expectation for a young man with that issue, with the heart issue, and fitness and wellness, or were you still pushing through that wall and being the super soldier?
Still being the super.
That's what I'm saying. So
and it wasn't necessarily optional. I loved the military. I loved what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So when your sergeant major tells you you're going to compete, did I want to stay in the military? Or do I tell sergeant major I got a heart condition and no, I want to stay in the military?
Yeah.
And if the military is going to drop the paperwork and sergeant major is going to keep putting me forward, that's just going to extend my possibility of staying.
So was there ever a time where that finding out what was physically going on with you, was there ever a time that you put that in front of you and based your decisions off of it? Or were you just still just leaning in?
I wish I could say yes. And for anyone watching, please, what worked and what I was able to survive. I'm not special, but it worked out. I got lucky.
I was gonna say, did you understand the risk and all of that? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Of having that the heart defect that you had, and still operating at a high level. Operating at a high level is what it sounds like. Did you understand the risks that were involved? Yeah, that
I did.
Could have happened.
And I mean, me and Stephanie, my wife, we talked about it, and it would have killed me leaving the military because I loved what I did. I love what I do. I mean, I still, even though I'm retired, I love working with troops.
Okay.
Now I've extended my base, as far as making sure I work with teens and everyone. But, and I think if I would have felt something like performance going down,
right,
not being able to
maintain,
you tell me I have a PT test in the morning. I didn't. The PT test was never a workout.
Yeah.
The new ACFT and now the new AFT,
right.
Sure. But the old one was a joke, and it didn't train you for anything. It's why we have most of the injuries we got. And it just was not something that, if I would have noticed performance, now that I've had it.
Yeah.
If it would have been if you would have felt it as being a problem for you and your performance and what you were doing, then you would have said, okay, I need to get this fixed. But since it was...
And that's my point.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I ask those questions is because your description of yourself is exactly how it was. I was, when I joined the military, I was way above military level fitness as well, with my basketball background. And then I got into weightlifting and bodybuilding, and so that took me to another level that was beyond the Army standards. So most of my career, just like you, the PT test, I'll counter you on something. It's not that the PT test is the reason people are so, the injuries and stuff are happening. It's because the leadership curtailed their fitness around the PT test instead of focusing on as a
holistic,
we're talking strategic
body.
level. Yeah, the entire Army was not doing physical fitness the way of improving your life and improving your overall fitness. Too many of them leadership was just freaking daily PT test was prepping you for the
training
PT.
the test.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you're training
PT
for the test.
was
you know,
prepping.
instead of-
So there's a little pushback on that, but I understand what you're saying. But for me, I always was above the military fitness expectations because of my mindset. because of the basketball, because of the bodybuilding, and just fell in love with the gym. But even falling in love with the gym, I was not smart enough during that time to make sure I was doing the best for me. You know what I'm saying? So I was lifting the gym. I was squatting the gym. I was deadlifting the gym. But I wasn't super stretching. I wasn't warming myself up properly. And I wasn't lifting with my joints and my secondary muscles as a priority, which means torn pecs, torn Achilles. This is a complete tear. This is I think 50% tears the last time I was rated, I think, or 60. Either way, and the way I got the tears is just silly. Like one way, this initial tear was I was doing negatives with 500 pounds after I'd already worked out chest. What did I expect to happen? I did the inverted wall at Campbell, and I was doing a simple demonstration for my soldiers as a first sergeant, and I didn't give it my all. So when I jumped up and was trying to push myself up, but I was off balance. Rip. And I had to play it off. But when did I learn? I didn't really learn. When I tore my Achilles, it was during a basketball tournament in Korea. And once I tore it and my mental went down the crapper, then my motivation came to getting back to where I was. And then once I got back to where I was, I quit playing basketball, which means I slowed down my fitness, you know what I'm saying? And then when I tore my pec, I didn't even go to the hospital when I did the complete tear because when I was asking about it and what they tell you that your chest sags, you know, but they don't tell you that there's a bunch of muscles up there, you know, and your buildup determines how your torn pec looks, you know, so it's just so much stuff. So I didn't realize how much fitness I was doing wrong until I got on the trail. And I got on the trail as a sergeant first class, and I couldn't just wake up and go like I used to, you know. And then with the soldiers being there, and then me and my pride, ego chip on my shoulder, I started to realize that if I wanted to continue to be dominant in my mind, I had to start adjusting. And this was 2005, 2008. And that's when, because I'd been to Master Fitness School, and I was running the PT test and the fitness program since I was Sergeant E5. But we always apply to others instead of applying to ourselves with all of our knowledge. Our knowledge base. Because even in Master Fitness School, I went forever ago. I went in Fort Drum, TDY, and even with the instructors, I was not arguing with them, but having like healthy debates about the way they were doing workouts and teaching them versus the way I was. And it was just because I was hard-headed, you know what I'm saying, thinking I know everything. Yeah. So that's where it was for me.
All right. Well, all right, this next question is going to kind of lead into some of the things that you were saying before. Okay. But all right, this is going to be for you first, Dave. All right. So do you think the military teaches us real wellness or just how to push through pain and call it discipline?
So, if you need to tap me on the leg, let me know.
Gotcha.
Do they? Yes. They teach wellness. And I will even tap back into the last question, because if I misspoke, you were absolutely 100% right. Mm-hmm. It was never the PT test that was the problem. Right. It was how they train up. Right. And it's the same issue with the way they teach wellness now. Even though we have made the attempt to be able to teach it.
Mm-hmm.
Performance triad,
Yeah.
sleep, activity, nutrition.
Yeah.
Very successful when we had leaders who bought in.
Absolutely.
And so we went around all over. And if the sergeant major and the colonel bought in, that area was a success.
Dynamic.
JBLM, triple nickel, perfect example. They thrived.
Yep.
And then you had other areas that I'm not going to call out, but the leadership did not support it. They thought it was stupid, a waste of time, another thing they had to train, and then the first sergeants aren't going to go against their sergeant majors, and so on and so forth, all the way down. And it is organizational development, and when you're dealing with a model as large as the Army, and it's why they chose to use the Army first, because it was the most diverse and spread out. How do you change behavior?
It's huge culture change.
It's a
I mean, and
culture
that's
shift.
and that is
And
difficult to
you
do.
always hear them, I'm retiring. Next guy coming in, he can do the new stuff.
Yeah.
And it's always kicking that bucket.
Yeah.
And I recently added an obstacle course around a Connex system down at Fort Jackson. And inside they had another Connex system, the one that everyone issued out for the ACFT. It had not been opened. And when I talked to the commander, and not only not open, inside was 7-22 in saran wrap on a shelf.
Pristine.
And so when I asked the commander, he said, I'm hand receipted for it. I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
And so it's that kind of thing that I do believe, especially with H2F now, the tools are there. You hear it's 300 pages. Well, the last 160 are diets, pre-done workouts, examples of how to do it, the different teaching techniques in order to make sure I'm working out with you, we're adjusting the equipment the right way, just the part that makes it safe.
The instructions.
And the why, the nutrition, the sleep, the mentality.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that it is in our culture. It's making its way. It's going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah, it's going to take leaders to have used that to succeed, because that was the problem with us old heads, right? It's that I didn't do any of this stuff. We still have the same PT events, physical training events, and now you want me to do all this other stuff? Well, I need my first sergeant run. I need my NCOs run. I need the NCO Corps run. I need to bring my warrant officers out there. I need to bring my officers. I need to do the company. So there's too much. It's hard to tell a person who's been the top in everything their whole career and made it to first sergeant, to sergeant major, and tell them what you were doing was wrong and this is better, so let's forget everything you learned, teach you this, now go teach it to your soldiers. Because these introductions to the ACFT and all that stuff, it wasn't as organized and it wasn't presented in a way that it should have been. For instance, the same thing with the NCOER when they changed the NCOER. The same way when they introduce anything new, there should be a concentrated effort to get it to the NCOs and get them to become the masters, the subject matter experts. Then you go and introduce it to the Army. That's the step that we fought for specifically at the Academy.
And one thing, if I can add, because I did not answer it, and I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Did you ever have to push through pain, and did the Army promote it? So when I was at Belvoir, I tore my groin. Literally like black blue, completely destroyed. My soldier who was doing the Soldier of the Year, I was NCO of the Year, Soldier of the Year, getting ready to go to compete for region, and he dislocated his jaw. And so we're sitting in the ER. I got him. I was in the ER a couple of days ago, and our sergeant major walks in. And he says, "What are you doing here?" And his jaw's still locked, so he can't talk. And I'm like, "Well, he dislocated his jaw in training. You know, you've tracking that I did my groin a couple of days ago." He was like, "You guys do whatever you have to do. Be ready to compete."
Yeah.
And so, it's that mindset, like, you going. And I did. I went and competed. And, so it is one of those things that...
It's that macho.
Yeah,
that
that's
culture doesn't,
ridiculous.
support being able to always follow the wellness stuff. And that was 15 years ago versus where we are now. So hopefully leaders are learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ship will change, to turn its course, but that's a perfect example, right? And so, and as a first sergeant, as a colonel, as a sergeant major, it's a fine line between trying to motivate somebody who's in that situation because they may not get to this point again. You don't want them to waste this opportunity, but at the same time, you're a person.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
You don't want them to hurt themselves.
That's what
worse,
I'm saying.
So.
And you're not, and you hit it on the head. There's so much in that sergeant major's mind that's so positive that they get so one-tracked that they forget that you're a person. And that's the worst thing you can do, because you can push and motivate as a trainer, as a squad leader, as a senior leader, but at the same time you have to remember who you're talking to. Remember it's a person.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think as far as like the military teaching real wellness,
yeah.
I'm on the fence on that, just because I feel like we have the people that are highly trained, educated, that are trying to put out these programs and things, and then you have exactly what you all were saying before, where you have commanders and NCOs that don't believe in it, so they're not going to teach it. Yeah. So everybody's not getting it. You have some spots where folks are all into it. They're introducing it, at the correct pace, so that people can get into it and learn it and not get hurt doing it. And then you have places that, like, oh, we got to have this by next week. We got to enact this by next week. Yeah. So start doing this. Yeah. And then you start getting people injured. Yeah. So people don't have any faith in it. They don't have any confidence in it to say that it's good or it's bad. Where, like, we know now, it's like, I wish they would have stressed like stretching and things like that a lot more when I was younger, earlier in my career, where it's like that is so important now.
But they did. And that's why he answered that question. No,
I'm just saying. But that's what I'm saying, is that they did, but they didn't, because it wasn't where it was true. I don't feel like it was ever truly enforced on the whole, where it was, people were held accountable for it. Yeah. That should be the thing. Because, again, I was at one place where, they were
lockstep.
Yeah, they were laying it down. They weren't making everybody's at different levels. It wasn't go do it. It was all right. Let's do this one. Let's do this one. And I had places where you're still doing push-ups, sit-ups. They were still doing that type of training. Yeah, trying to still doing that training without
champion.
And and it was like, oh, we're going to start this new ACFT at the next PT test iteration, which is a month away or whatever. So you have old folks, like, I'll give you one that was a good complaint of it, my wife, where it was like, why they got us doing this? We done, it's been 28 years, and why I got to go do this to change this up now? They should just grandfather, especially if we only have like 2 years left, because this was jokers just falling like trees, because it was like getting injured from it, just because it's like, it was totally, it was just a different set of workouts and things you need to be training before you actually went into the actual test. So
trying to max out.
Yes,
so do
no.
they? Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes and no, because if you look at the original 2120,
exactly,
everything was there.
Exactly.
I started teaching so when I went to MRT, I came back and I did a train the trainer program for every PT personnel on post because they go through MFT. And when you come back from schools in the same officer side of the house, I'm sure you can change everything, right?
Yeah.
You can make it all better.
Yeah.
And my sergeant major, that same one from Fort Belvoir, said, look, I sent you as a reward. You're going to take care of the fat bodies and shut up. Keep going. Like, he didn't want prevention.
Yeah.
It was a reward for me.
Yeah.
And I had always got everyone off of it. Yeah. So the tools to have them ready were there.
Exactly.
The discipline and the
how to.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other piece is, which is not the fault of any NCO, is on the officer side, especially on the medical side, is we're not doing organized, especially in the hospital. We're not doing a lot of organized PT. You have a small group that are actually going out and doing it just because you got to have people covering. Yeah, that's the priority. Yeah. But and pushing through. Yes, that is. But some of that is, I feel like we put it on ourselves, because some of it I know is like, I got to get up and get this done. I got to do it.
It's one of the. It's the
and it's not discouraged.
Right.
Yeah. It's the chauvinistic side of the military, right? The chauvinistic side of life, that the number one motivation in the military is that manhood check or that womanhood check. You know what I'm saying? It's pull yourself up by your bootstraps, or suck it up, or pain is just what is it? Pain is just what leaves
idea or something. Yeah.
You know, so it's one of those things, like you said, textbook. It was there. The stuff that was in the old field manual 2120 was way beyond the APFT test, right? That was my sweet spot. That's when I went to Master Fitness Trainer School. And my first day back, the first sergeant had called an NCO PD, right? And allowed me to present PT the way it should go.
Okay.
Right? And I got up there and smoked them and did everything, talked about the events and the exercises that we can no longer do, right? Presented to that, and then the next order I got from my first sergeant is, you're in charge of special pop, you're going to go ahead and get these people off of this. And you're like, I didn't get my butt whooped for 2 weeks for you to tell me that I'm in charge of special pop with people who I have to re-energize, and at the same time, it's not like you get buy-in from, because I was a young E5. I didn't get buy-in from the platoon sergeants to take their kid or to take them beyond what was there. And then, like you said, you try to throw in different things, and if your leadership doesn't support you, you know,
it ain't gonna happen.
It's just one of those things. But pushing through pain is something that we are taught as little boys. You know, that we stub our toe. Don't cry. Be strong. Be a man. You know, so it's the Army teaches real wellness, but it's not enforced enough.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. All right. So, what did your body pay for the life you were building at the time, and when did you finally realize it? What did your body pay for? What's the receipts your body has?
I got so currently I'm still waiting. I have a hernia that I got right before my heart surgery, but they couldn't do both. So I'm still waiting for that to get fixed.
They couldn't fix them both up?
No, I tried. I was like, hey, why, since you got me cracked open, can't you do it all? They're like, no, that's a bad idea.
Just like,
not good. Both hips are shot, shoulders shot. Mentality still, I'm training, I'm getting ready for the Murph, Now I figured out how to train myself at 80%?
Yeah.
Might be someone else's 120.
Absolutely.
But I can keep it. But it's by doing smart training.
Yeah.
Things, injuries, like you said it, and you've said it. If I only would have known that the stretching, the dynamic movements would make my performance better and prevent injury, I would have did it all along.
Yeah.
Would you have, though?
I would have.
Because that's the thing.
Absolutely.
So
if you would have told me the performance would have got better, I would have
that
done it for
would've-
the performance.
The buy-in, okay.
Maybe not the injury.
Maybe
Because
just the pain
I'm
piece
just
of just to
hard-headed, though.
say you won't be in this much pain, or you'll be able to move your hips and.
But before you got hurt,
Oh yeah,
you would have changed?
I would have stretched more. I mean, because I did stretch.
Yeah.
Didn't stretch to the extent and stretched some of the different. I did the basic.
Yeah.
All right, let me do the
So
stretch the hamstrings.
Here's the test I give everybody, right? So, on average, before the refocus, right, you would do some type of stretch, hamstring, quad, whatever. You'd hold it for 10 seconds.
Sure.
Right.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah.
so-called standard, right? Then they say, when you really look into the regulations, it says you should hold that between 15 and 30 seconds, right? And then next day, you add that to your flow, right? And now you're sitting out there and you say, all right, we're going to hold this for 15 seconds. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When people get to 10, they stop.
I mean that, and if you're doing it
So
yourself, then it's like then that's the other thing though too, is that you start prolonging, like you say, your workout is going to be 45 minutes,
Yeah.
whatever. So now you've
You
prolonged your
you ain't even
workout to
started.
an hour, and you're like, I can't do that. I'm supposed to be at
That's my point.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it would have. Yes, it would have been. I mean, I would have at least wanted to have the knowledge
Yeah.
earlier than later when I would stay down there for 30 seconds, 45 seconds because I couldn't get up anyway. So
Yeah. And I'm just saying that because even me going to Master Fitness School, even me getting corrected every day, getting motivationally yelled at every day, right? It did not change the way I lifted.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I knew
because how you were lifting worked for you.
100%.
And that's what I feel like is
100%.
we're
That's
where
my
we
point.
results. We want to see the
100%.
results. Now, you got to show me.
That
So
it's better
then
than
I'll
what I'm
believe
doing.
it. Yeah, then I'll
Absolutely.
believe what you're doing.
It's
So
almost so. I had this shoulder redone, and then when I was on the performance triad, the physical therapist, Colonel Silvernail, awesome. He said, "Look," he was like, "How long did it take you to recover on this side?" And I was like, 6 months, and I was back at it. He was like, "Give me 6 months doing it right, following the right thing, and you'll perform the same, guaranteed." And I was like, all right, I'm in this P3 thing. I really have to start embracing it,
Right.
and figuring it out.
Mhm.
So it worked.
Yeah.
But the thing that young soldiers, I think, forget is we get all these PT exercises to get us feeling better, but those same the second we feel better, we stop doing everything that got us back to being good.
So you go back to
And then you do the same thing,
Yeah.
and then you don't realize it until
Yeah.
you have that opportunity where you mature.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that when you're young, like I said, what I was saying earlier, when you're younger, you're in such good shape. You don't realize that whatever you put in the bank, you start losing that stuff as you get a little older. That you're not going to perform the same if you don't work all the different muscles with different
Absolutely.
exercises
You're
and
not
different
gonna
things. So that's the
expend,
thing, is trying to get those young soldiers to buy into. You have to do these, all 8 of these things or 10 of these things, and not just 5 of them or 4 of them, because they could probably do just 4 of them and do well on the test until they hit a certain age or point in their life where, that starts going down. So you think about, say, if they did that and they stayed consistent, all the way through till they retired or got out or whatever, then you're not going to be injured, and you're going to have a better. It's going to be more of a habit to you, so that you continue to do those things. Because it's just like I felt like I was always learning, trying to get a new habit, so that it just became part of what I do, and that didn't happen until I got older. But I was already, injured with different things where it was like, and I had to be like that so that it did carry over to when I finally got out and was like, okay, I need to go do this, or I have to do this, because what works and you're tired of being in pain and stuff. You know,
I think
so
that is another huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
The second you said you had to go to sick call, people looked bad at you.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's why so many service members
Skating.
don't have stuff documented.
Yeah.
Because, and then they pay for it, you know, as they're getting out or they're trying to make up for it. It's just, oh, yeah, sure, you can go to sick call and we'll take your weekend.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was drink water, eat Motrin. I was a medic, so, I mean, I know. But it was not right.
And you also got to remember, the person who's leading PT, are they looking out for you or are they trying to smoke you? So I believe that once this new fitness, these new fitness standards are taught in basic and it's locked in, and that's what they grow up on, then those future leaders will stick with that until they're told something else.
It just has to be consistent all the way through
But that's my
to wherever
point.
they go
It
through.
won't be.
And yeah,
So
It won't be.
It's been in basic for 4 years.
I know.
And AIT.
Yep.
And they get to their first unit.
Yep.
And that's where it dies.
Right.
And the Army had done a smart thing. The Soldier Performance Readiness Centers were designed to be able to teach each area and hold a company at a time, just constantly rotating, which was great. You talk to the soldiers that were able to take advantage of it, and they thrived. But it meant NCOs didn't have to learn.
Well, they weren't the smartest people anymore.
They were athletic trainers teaching.
What does it?
So then they PCS, and they don't have these tools for them, and it falls apart.
So let me ask this then, because this is what it sounds like. This what seems like what would make the most sense is if they had their own. Every place had their own little company where that's all that those guys did, and it didn't come from the training, the PT training. Also, didn't come from the units. It came from people that was their job, was to come in and do the training and do it.
That's the point. It don't matter because buy-in. The people who go to those classes are not First Sergeant.
Well, no, I'm saying is they come. I mean, they come to the
staffing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they come from there, and it's like you're going to be. This is who you're assigned to, and that's where you go every day, and that's you're carrying out that training. Not so much worried about the commander and the first sergeant, and shouldn't be, I should say, because I know everybody always in your mind, but they're not affiliated with them in a way that they're going to get their evaluations or whatever dinged by them. But you would get the same training because this is the standard, and they're teaching from the standard because that's their job.
Where do you get the people from?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying there had to be somebody's. That's what I'm saying. There had to be a new MOS or whatever.
So, two great things you just said. One, so those people did exist until last year. Last year they just pulled the funding for it. Like so, our Fort Sam, they switched it. So the Sparks were originally run because I was on the team with Colonel Tahan, working with Mr. McGurk in order to get this stuff happening. And so I went to Command Sergeant Major Ecker at the time. And I said, if you want this to be successful, it can't be MFTs anymore. You need a health and wellness NCO. And my pitch was...
Which was an additional duty for the Master Fitness Trainer.
They take over Master Fitness. They take over Resilience. They take over EO. They take over Sharp, because you can put all those under the same umbrella and teach it. And the answer was, if you want that, we need to lose infantrymen, because there's only so many people, and so it'll never happen. And then the solution was, we're going to pay to have the athletic trainers in, which they did for the last 4 years. But now they've cut it. And so now they're going to have, I don't want to say like Iraq when we built nice buildings and then we left them. But we're going to have really fancy buildings that people are going to take over. And it's a matter of now, do they know how to use the facilities?
Stuff in there.
And because the original other answer was, we're going to pull from MedCom. All our physical therapists, our behavioral nutritionists, but you're still only pulling from the same number, which are already short appointments and stuff inside there.
Right.
So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But
that's just
I don't know how to...
That's just wishful thinking.
Well, the sad part is it ends up looking like it was just another good idea by the good idea fair, you know, but the reality of it is, man, and it's not just fitness that's this way. It's everything that comes on the table. There are, especially when they did the new NCOERs and OERs, right? Non-commissioned officer evaluation reports and officer evaluation reports. They sent teams to every installation to teach how this was going. But just like with the ACFT, the teams they sent to teach, it was outdated stuff they were teaching by the time they would get to some of these units. You know what I'm saying? So they were having to adjust on the fly. So you no longer have subject matter experts presenting it to you. So if you, just like with any of us, if we sit in a class and we feel like the person doesn't know as much as we do or hasn't experienced life like we have, they're no longer valid. And that's how these messages get lost. And it's one of those things that, of course, it can be fixed. It can be fixed at the lowest level, squad leader. It can be fixed at the company level and all that stuff. But now you're not just turning a little Fiat around. Now you're turning a cargo ship. You know what I'm saying? So
when we used to teach, go over to the Sergeant Major Academy, they were my biggest. I mean, especially I was at E7, and I was like, in that position, we had to be really honest. And I remember we were there. I was talking to them, and they're like, I made it. Why am I going to change?
That's what I'm saying.
And I said, Sergeant Major, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I said, what kind of TV you got home? And he was like, what? I said, TV. What kind of TV you got home? I said, you still got the old 13-inch with the tin foil and the little thing? And he's like, no, I got a 65-inch curve. And I was like, why? I said, because we got smarter, right? And, you know, it is that mentality that, you know, we have to be able to get them to understand why it's important. And, I mean, we spent around $28 million in performance triad. And in order to...
Apps,
we weren't allowed to share it with the Air Force. Because it came from our money. And so, and then I asked them to copyright it, and they didn't. So I'm the only one that has the original still. But I still use that as a tool to help with ROTC and JROTC and just anyone, because it taught hip pocket training with health and wellness, and it gave you tools. But every time someone wants something, so they absorbed. They got rid of performance triad and absorbed its tenets into H2F. That was the happy agreement, because TRADOC was going to own it. But when that happens, then you use all these valuable tools that were designed to be able to teach leaders how to lead, even if they weren't SMEs in that area. And so hopefully now, especially with the staff reducing, and it comes down to the POI too. Because every time I talked about performance triad, put in the MFT stuff. And they're like, well, it's POI. And I was like, well, you talk about nutrition, let's just make them maybe a few better slides. But all the rest of the schools, they need to continually teach, and also how to sell. If I'm selling it to a squad, it's one thing. If I'm selling it to my first sergeant, it's got to be another. It's got to meet his vision and value, so for he buys it.
And taught by somebody that they're going to listen to and respect, which is hard to do. Yeah, I agree. So what's one injury that you had that bothered you throughout your career? Yours is kind of, don't say the obvious one.
No, it was the groin.
It was the groin?
And I'll tell you what, and the groin led to a Vicodin addiction.
Oh.
Because I was hurt.
Fighting through it.
Was you fighting through? Like, you're going to perform.
And you still want to do.
I was a high performer.
Right. You still want to do what you were doing.
So it was not, everywhere I went, I was a high performer. And even when I PCS, it's still the same injury, still getting the same script. And then it was when I circled all the way back to performance triad, or to the Fort Belvoir area, that I realized, one, my wife's going to leave me if I don't knock this off. And two, there has to be a better way and work through the suck without
losing favor.
So
I'm with you.
That was and it's something that still bothers me to say.
What about you? What was your injury?
When I tore my pec, because then it was like, okay, I learned to do push-ups. I mean, that was my biggest thing. It's like, I'm still going to be able to do push-ups. I'm still going to be able to do all this. So it was just working back through that was the one that really hurt. But I had a growing tear off, so I didn't have a full, but a partial. I mean, and that just slow. I mean, that was like, Can't do anything. I mean, then it's one of those that you think it's gone, and then you'll do something, and it's like, oh my God, what is going on?
I'm still here.
So trying to say, okay, I have to stop and let it heal itself, because you get to a point where, where you sit there and say, okay, it's been a week. I need to go back to trying to do what I was doing before. So, probably the PEC that happened about 2000, 2001, and then I tore that growing muscle in 2021. So I feel like now finally, it's finally like it's healed, because it was like it would get good. I thought it was good, and then I don't know whatever I did, it would just be like, nope, it's back again. So it's like I just had to actually let it heal, get it looked at, and.
So I'll just say real quick, for me was my Achilles tear was in 2002, but when I promised myself that I would follow the steps to get back, because I knew that it was a career ender for athletes at that time. So when I was able to come back, go play ball at the same level, that's when I called it quits on that. But my pec, with the complete tear and the partial tear, that was the first time I'd ever been limited in fitness, because I couldn't, no matter how much I worked and how well I did, I knew I wasn't going to be able to max my PT test no more because of that. And that sucked a lot of energy out of me.
Ooh, okay. So why do so many soldiers leave the military physically trained but not prepared to take care of themselves long term?
The easiest answer is because it's what is built into your muscle memory is survival of the moment. It's not overall survival. When you're training every day, it's to survive combat, not to survive life. You know what I'm saying? So you attack everything. There are training percentages that you should train at. There's certain ways that you should crawl, walk, run things, but in the military you don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll do something as a rollover training, right? Mm-hmm. That's a standard requirement for combat. But the reality of it is, you don't do stretching before that. You're a full battle route. You know what I'm saying? There's no exercising that your unit has adjusted to make sure that you can get through the multiple practices that you got to go through before you even get into a rollover piece of equipment that's set up for that. And then you never do it again until you actually deploy again, or you actually need it.
Yeah, I was about to say, then you may or you may not.
But just imagine you're upside down in a daggone Mat V, right? And you have full battle, full gear on, and you're having to pull yourself up. And some people can't even do a push-up. You know what I'm saying? And so now you're requiring that. That's the system that the military has, that a great fitness training program could erase all of that. But the consistency that's required for a great fitness program, it's going to take too many hours out the day. And even though you're in PTs for an hour and a half in the morning, that's not enough time to get you and keep you to a standard of maintenance that's going to help you survive long term in life. So that's just my little point. What about you?
So it says, why do so many leave the military physically trained? I would say they don't.
Right.
I would say
properly.
Yeah. I mean, they leave broke.
Yeah.
So why are they not prepared? I mean, they weren't prepared for a lot of their career. Not their fault. They just weren't prepped. They weren't taught. They were suck it up and drive on. The same stuff we've been saying this whole time. So do I think most of them leave physically trained and ready? No.
Yeah. Agreed.
Taking care of themselves long term? No. And I think even now, with the generation that's about to come up, they're not getting health and wellness in school anymore.
Yeah.
My son's a senior and he gets sex ed. They just send a thing out saying, your kid has to opt in if they want it, but that's it. And even he's an JRTC. They're not considered athletes, so they can't use the gym without supervisors. And so I'm like, well, what about the rest of the kids? So if you're not an athlete, you can't take care of yourself. You don't deserve wellness.
Wow.
So it's something that I think,
instead of improving, it's going even back further.
right?
Yep.
I mean, and we're even getting worse because now we're going to be sending. Back in the day when we grew up, get out of the house until the lights come on. Play. I mean, half of my physical fitness was running from the cops. And I obviously wasn't so good at it because I got caught a lot. But, I mean, it's different now.
Right.
This first generation life expectancy's gone down.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just, we have to do better. And hopefully, as things progress, that H2F culture will really be part of it.
What's H2F?
Yeah.
Health and holistic fitness.
Okay.
The Army's new regulation that was put out in 2018 was the 19 we actually did it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I for this question, I think you guys answered it, but it's just people are. I mean, in the military, you're training for whatever that
the moment.
test is, and then you're not gaining habits. I don't think that what you've been saying before about the holistic training. Training not only the body but the mind and the nature. I mean, just the nutrition. I mean, all of that, the sleep, all of those things play a part in
Very valuable.
how you come out physically, and how you take care of yourself after getting an injury also plays a part in, so that if you don't get the care and take the time to recover, then you're going to leave hurt, constantly hurt. You're going to be in a constant state of pain, So, that's the whole thing. I just don't. We're not in that mindset. I'm like, it's like, okay, I got the PT. Okay, that's what I'm training for to go do, and not after the PT test.
Yeah.
So it's people. So you get a lot of people that are training every 6 months, for a test, and then they're not worried about it after that. So.
Yeah, because like I said, the job is going to always win. So the job forces physical training days to be missed. It forces your body to be weary, overworked. It forces frustration and mental health. So there's so much linked to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If a young soldier or just a young man is watching this right now, what's the one mindset about health and wellness you wish you had earlier?
I think it would be you may not need it now.
Mm-hmm.
But as a leader, you're going to take care of people that do need it.
Yeah.
And so even if you don't need it right this second, you're perfect. If your whole team isn't able to perform with you, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And so you need to turn around and be able to say, yes, okay, maybe you got it all figured out. And it's just like when we were teaching the P3. We said, the Army's so focused on making that 10% see their way, they turn their back on 90. Mm-hmm. And our philosophy was, all right, 10%, you get the back now. 90, we're going to focus on the ones that want to make a change. And so I would tell them you're going to run into roadblocks. General Tahan used to turn around and say, no is normally your first stop to yes. And I always went with that. No, you can't do this. We don't have the money. Well, you figure out how to do it without the money. Mm. So as that young leader, I would say you're going to run into a lot of opposition. But if you can show through what matters to your leaders that a healthier person does it better, then you're going to get their buy-in. Mm. And then you're going to, without even meaning to, you're truly going to buy in. Mm-hmm. And then, like all of us, once we're not superhero young anymore, you're going to start feeling it and applying it more to yourself. Yep. So I would say, don't be dumb. Yeah. Work out legs. Don't just do the beach muscles. And make sure you do it smart. Yeah. And it's about making smart, realistic goals. Yeah. And when you get injured, and this is really important for a young or old, you're developing a new norm. So stop comparing yourself to the old you.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to keep injuring yourself getting back to it.
Yep.
Because you're going to try to do the same things that got you there instead of developing new habits to be smarter.
Right.
And so I would say embrace it. Don't just check the box because you can do really well. Figure out how to make your team do well. And then figure out how to... I always told my soldiers, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, nothing should stop. If I'm doing my job right, then my number 2 and my number 3 know exactly
The
what's
train
going
should
on.
keep
And
on
so
rolling.
you should be training your replacement all the time.
Yeah.
And not being mad if they pass you, not letting ego check that, but be happy that now you're spreading, in the organizational development world, a fractal, and you are spreading that out into the rest of the Army, and they're going to continue to do it.
Yep. Just be flexible. Be flexible and have acceptance as you get older. Because that's the one thing that I think I did. I mean, I started to do it after I got to a point where it was like, it's too hard. When it starts getting difficult, and it's like things like working out, where it was like, I enjoyed working out and, doing those things when I was younger, because it just made me feel good, and then you get to a point where it's like, okay, I have to adjust what I'm doing because it's not working for me right, at this point in my life. So once I was able to have that acceptance of, okay, I just need to, I can do this way and not do this that way. So, so just be flexible in what you're doing and just try to get yourself good habits, and not just lifting weights and things, but how you eat and how you get your rest and stuff. I said, because that's one thing I know I didn't do a good job at, and probably still don't to this day, is getting good sleep. And it's just, I want to, and I try to make myself get it, but it's just I never was able to
consistently
get that habit. And as part of it was was my job, especially when I was younger, being on call and working at different shifts and doing all of that stuff, and then deployments and things like that. So, but the nutrition piece is super important, just to help you maintain that weight. Because if you're eating how you're supposed to eat and stuff, you're not going to gain weight how you could if you weren't doing that way, even if you're not working out with the same intensity that you were before. So just try to get good habits. Yep.
It doesn't matter how much weight you lift, even though I used to always try to be the strongest person in the gym, and that's how I got my injuries. If I'm talking to a younger person right now, and I've had these conversations before, because I'm dealing with somebody like me, it would be, stop being so hard-headed. The Army standards are one thing. Your standards don't exist. First off, stop trying to push people to be like me and keep them being more like the military. And what that does is that would slow me down a little bit and start getting more into the regulation. The second thing I would say is doing things the right way pay off more than doing things the way you're currently working when it comes to fitness. And that would force me to do number 3, which would be teach everybody how to be successful, but make sure that you know what you're talking about.
Yep.
So when
He's
I'm
got some
telling
back
people,
into it.
So when I'm telling somebody, the proper way to squat, I'm not just talking about throwing the house on the bar and doing it and worrying about you getting parallel. I'm worried about how you're holding it on your neck. Is it on your spine? Do you have a pad? I'm worried about, are your hips in line with your knees and your feet, and are your secondary muscles strong enough to go up and weight? There's so much that I know now that definitely could have saved me on wear and tear, because I've got arthritis, I've got the Achilles tear, I've got the chest muscular issues. It's just so much stuff going on that most of the damage to my body had nothing to do with combat. Even though I've seen combat quite often. Most of the injuries to my body could have been prevented if I was doing things the right way. I think for me, fitness was always tied to performance. Basketball, the Army, leadership. It was always about showing up, being ready, and being strong. Presenting what I thought was a non-commissioned officer. But I didn't always understand the difference between being strong and actually being well. And I'll tell you, when I started to understand about mental healing, about mental wellness, that almost trumped my physical fitness drive, because I knew that I was lacking so much in that, and started to realize that there's more than just the weight room to get you overall well. And daggone it took some time, and it took some hard lessons, most of them self-caused, but to realize that trying and doing, if it's the right way, then it's better for everybody. All right,
Dave, we appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective with us. Man, it was
Thank you. I appreciate it.
very informative. Yeah, man, it was a good conversation.
I think that what you are doing is amazing. And it's exactly what, I kind of said in the last thing, we need to teach this new generation why our mistakes were made, but how we could have fixed them, but we ignored it. And please don't make our same mistakes.
Right. That's all we want.
All we can do is hope. Yeah, that's all we can do is hope.
That's all we want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's keep the conversation going.